Week 18? Ugh. Hello, Steelers Nation. Welcome to another episode of Steelcast, podcast where you don't have to be a Steelers fan, but it sure does help. I'm your host, Zach. Last week of the regular season, baby. Attack! And today we're going to be breaking down the 2024 NFL schedule and make sure I have my year right. And last week of the regular season, before we go into the playoffs, there are still some teams fighting for playoff spots, but the official schedule is out, and the last time I didn't check a schedule change, everything was completely bonkers. So, let's go ahead and dive right into the first of two Saturday games, starting off with the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Baltimore Ravens. The Steelers getting a dub last week over the Seattle Seahawks, and Packers fans sure were happy about that because of their win over the Minnesota Vikings. And so you're welcome. Also, the Ravens winning, and not just winning, blowing out the Miami Dolphins, securing the division and the first seed in the process. And here's the thing with the Ravens. The Ravens have both those things secured. They'll probably end up resting their starters. So, as of now, it is not confirmed about how many starters they will be resting, but I do know one thing, and that is, with a win, the Steelers have a chance to get in. It's a slim chance, but it's there if they win. If they lose, they are out immediately. But I am going to be a homer, as we all know by now, and pick the Pittsburgh Steelers to get the win here. Should be able to beat the Ravens backups at their place. So Steelers, you get the win, and hopefully Steelers get a Super Bowl. Also be the first double-digit win season in like forever. Then you have the Houston Texans taking on the Indianapolis Colts in the battle for the 7th seed. If these two teams tie and the Steelers win, Steelers are in. But there has to be a tie that happens this game, and I am not about to predict a tie. That would be stupid. However, there's still some other factors that can come into play, but the chances of those happening are very, very small. Same thing here. Then these two teams tying, or is it like a less than 2% chance of happening? So, is it possible? Yes. But it's basically shiny odds. So, But first off, the Texans getting it done last week against the Tennessee Titans, and they put a wallop on them. And of course, the Texans going into the postseason hope to have C.J. Stroud at the helm to make a postseason push. As for the Colts, don't know if Anthony Richardson will be available for the postseason, assuming they win this game. But they were able to defeat their opponents in the Las Vegas Raiders. And this will be the battle of basically the 7th seed. I do have the Texans getting the win here. I feel like they are the more balanced team. And with C.J. Stroud at the helm, they are a different monster. So Texans, you get the win. And it will probably make it to the postseason. Much as I hate to say it. But then, Sunday games. First of all, the Cleveland Browns taking on the Kitty Goes Meow Cincinnati Bengals. The Browns finally clinching a playoff spot, but that 5th spot is not secured. They are one game behind the Bills, and they will do everything in their power to win that game. One more game in front of the Bills, but they will do anything in their power to beat their opponent this week and possibly win that division and force Miami to be in the 5th seed, bumping them to the 6th seed if they lose. However, the Bengals are on a small decline right now, and they're have basically been eliminated from postseason contention. I do have the Browns winning this game. Joe Flacco has thrown for over 300 yards in his first 4 games as a starter against the Browns. He was pulled off the couch, and look at him now. So, Bengals, sorry, but the key is going to go out. Browns, you get the win and the 5th seed. I'm going to see how far you can go. Then we have the Minnesota Vikings taking on the Detroit Lions. The Lions have secured the North with their win against the Vikings 2 weeks ago, but losing because of many failed 2-point conversions against the Dallas Cowboys. And the Lions should have won that game, but alas, that is not the case. And the Vikings getting blown out by the Packers. No Kirk Cousins means no happiness. So Lions, you get the win, and good luck in the playoffs. Then you have the Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the Tennessee Titans. The Jags shut out the Panthers last week. The defense of the Jags looking amazing. But then again, you're going to go against the Panthers, so I guess that's to be expected. And then the Titans, well, like I said, they got blown out by the Texans, so I'm not going to talk about there. Jaguars still winning that division spot and the 4th seed. So Jags, you get the win here. And see you in the postseason. Then you have the New York Jets taking on the New England Patriots. Both of these teams, AFC East, both out of the division. It's basically a tank bowl. But I know the Patriots still want one of those top 5 picks. So Jets, you get the win, and you win tank bowl. Then you have the Atlanta Falcons taking on the New Orleans Saints. The Saints, even though they beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last week, still for some odd reason are not the head of the division. But they're going up against the Falcons, who will try to ruin their playoff hopes, but I don't think they're going to. The Falcons losing to the Bears last week, not looking good for them. I am going to pick the New Orleans Saints to get the win here, but the chances of them still making the playoffs are worse than ours. So, we'll see. Then you have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers playing the Carolina Panthers. Do you understand now why, Saints? I know we've been sitting on the Panthers so much this season. The Panthers should be so much better than they are, but coaching is holding them back. Buccaneers, both of these teams losing last week. Bucks to the Saints and the Panthers to the Jaguars, but Bucks, you should get the rebound this week and cement a 4th seed in the NFC. Then you have the Chicago Bears taking on the Green Bay Packers. The Bears and the Packers getting wins last week. The Bears over the Atlanta Falcons in quite nice fashion. And then the Packers blowing out the Minnesota Vikings. And it was a sight to behold. Then so I do have the Packers winning. They are 1 win and in this season. And honestly, they deserve it. Jordan Love's been playing his butt off these past few weeks, and if they beat the Bears, they deserve to be in. And no matter what happens in the postseason, Packers, at least you still own the Bears. Then you have the Denver Broncos taking on the Las Vegas Raiders. The Broncos resting Russell Wilson last week against the Chargers and this week against the Raiders. But they beat the Chargers somehow. And then the Raiders, they ended up losing to the Colts. Not really much to say there. Both of these teams have no shot making the playoffs. So, again, an AFC West tank bowl. But I do have the Raiders winning this game. No Russell Wilson means I don't know how good the Broncos' chances are. But the Raiders seem to be playing pretty well lately, despite their loss against the Colts. They fought hard. They fought competitive. They scored more points than the Broncos and lost. So, Raiders, you get the win, and we'll see what happens in free agency, anyways. Then you have the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the New York Giants. The Eagles. What's going on? You keep it close with the Giants, but you win. And then you lose to the Cardinals. And they put up, 38 points against y'all? We need to have a little bit of a talk. The Eagles now basically forfeiting the division last week to the Dallas Cowboys, and I know they're not happy about it. And then the Giants, well, they didn't do so. They almost beat the LA Rams last week. Mason Crosby, the former Packer, trying to kick the win. But yeah, that didn't happen. Eagles, you should, and I miss this on a should, get the win. I'm watching you. And secure that 5th seed. Then you have the Seattle Seahawks taking on the Arizona Cardinals. The Seahawks getting beat up by the Pittsburgh Steelers and Mason Rudolph. Glorious sight to behold. And the Arizona Cardinals, well, they somehow beat the Eagles. You beat the Cowboys and the Eagles and us because you injured Pickett. I still hate you for that. But you lose to teams like the Giants. Explain yourselves. You know what? Doesn't matter. Seahawks, you get the win, and hope and pray that the Packers lose so you get into the postseason. Then you have the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the LA Chargers. The Chiefs have finally, I don't know why it took them so long, but they have finally secured the AFC West last week with a win against the Cincinnati Bengals. And the Chargers and Easton Stick, well, they didn't do so hot against the Broncos, but that's either here nor there. The Chiefs will probably still play their starters because if they lose, the Jaguars might take the spot of the 3rd seed, assuming they win. And yeah, that would not be great. So the Chiefs, I do have the Chiefs winning this game against the Chargers. I don't think they're going to rest everyone. So Chiefs, you win. And hope and pray Travis Kelce is not being double teamed every single down. Then you have the LA Rams taking on the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers, with the win against the Commanders, have secured the division and the 1st seed. And CMC was a little banged up last week, so we know he will be at the very least resting. We don't know about everyone else, but I assume they will be as well. And then the Rams have secured a playoff spot, but they have not secured the 6th seed. A loss and a Packers win would mean they would be at the 7th seed. And I know they really don't want to play the line. And I know they really don't want to play the Dallas Cowboys, especially not at home. So, but I do have the 49er. I really want to pick the Rams to win this one, but I am going to pick the 49ers because even though I should pick the Rams because of the Steelers, all these games being division matchups and whatnot. Yeah, I'm not saying that it's impossible. It's definitely possible for the Rams to win. They should win this game. But I am going to pick the 49ers to win. And yeah, we'll see what happens. Then you have the Dallas Cowboys taking on the Washington Commanders. Cowboys beating the Lions last week barely. And then the Commanders, well, they got blown out by the 49ers. I think you'll saw that one coming. Cowboys should win. I don't see another world. And yeah. And then Sunday Night Football, the battle of the AFC East. You have the Buffalo Bills taking on the Miami Dolphins. The Bills, with the win here, will have the division secured and the playoff spot. The Dolphins, with a win, will have the second seed and the East locked up. I know the Dolphins with the home field advantage, although they did have a few injuries last week against their loss to the Baltimore Ravens. The Bills last week beating the Patriots, it was a bit closer than one might expect, but that's because the Patriots defense is pretty solid. I am going to pick the Dolphins to win. Honestly, this is out of spite, because if the Bills lose, that does increase the Steelers' chances of getting in, assuming the Texans and Colts don't tie, which is probably going to be the case. So, Bills, I'm sorry. I don't know if your loss, if it does happen, means you don't get in. But if you do, somehow, by some miracle, by some way, then Buffalo all the way this time. Dolphins, you should get the win, and I will be forever grateful if you did. Despite the outcomes, even if we don't even get into the postseason. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. What do you have winning this week? And who do you have making those last second playoff pushes? Let me know. I am your host. My name is Zach Attack. And as always, you're in Steelers country.